Gold Thread Studios. Ganja Bush. Episode 1, D-Goat Find D-Bush. Morning comes differently in the Jamaican countryside. Kingston wakes up to traffic. Montego Bay wakes up to taxis. But up in the hills of a little district called Content Gap, morning arrives with roosters, zinc gates opening, somebody sweeping a yard with a coconut broom, and Miss Pearl shouting, "Clifton!" Mass Clifton hears her. He ignores her. Clifton. He pulls his old felt hat lower over his forehead and continues up the narrow hillside track. At 63 years old, Clifton Campbell believes there are 3 things a man should never hurry for. A woman calling his name, a police officer asking questions, and a goat running toward him. Unfortunately, before this morning is finished, Clifton will encounter all 3. The secret. Mass Clifton has a secret. At least, he calls it a secret. Hidden beyond 2 mango trees, behind an abandoned yam field, across a little gully and around a bend that requires a person to duck beneath a fallen breadfruit limb, is Clifton's pride and joy. His ganja bush. Not 1 plant. Not 2. A whole little field tucked between the hills. Clifton visits it every morning before sunrise. He talks to the plants. He checks the leaves. He inspects the soil. And sometimes he simply stands there with both hands on his waist admiring his agricultural achievements. This morning, however, something is wrong. Clifton stops walking. A branch moves. He squints. Another branch moves. Clifton slowly removes his hat. Something is inside the bush. Something white. Something hairy. Something chewing. Clifton's eyes widen. No! A head rises between the plants. 2 horns. Long ears. A mouth working enthusiastically. Clifton whispers. "Pearl goat." The goat chews. Clifton steps forward. The goat steps backward. "Come out a day." The goat chews faster. "Me sech come out a day." The goat grabs another mouthful. That is when Clifton loses every ounce of Christian patience he possessed. "Pearl." His voice rolls across Content Gap like thunder. Birds leave trees. A dog begins barking. Somebody drops a bucket. And approximately half a mile away, Miss Pearl Mitchell stops sweeping her yard. She looks toward the hills. Him find Winston. Winston. Winston is not an ordinary goat. According to Miss Pearl, Winston is highly intelligent. According to everybody else, Winston is a criminal. He has eaten Miss Cynthia's callaloo. He has destroyed Mr. Roy's sweet peppers. He once entered Brother Campbell's unfinished house and somehow ended up on the 2nd floor. Nobody knows how. And 3 months ago, Winston ate half of the flowers decorating a funeral before anybody noticed. Miss Pearl insists he is misunderstood. Mass Clifton believes he should be imprisoned. Today, Winston has discovered paradise. By the time Miss Pearl reaches the hillside, Clifton is chasing the goat between the plants. Winston. The goat runs. Winston. The goat turns. Winston. The goat jumps over a small ditch. Clifton attempts the same maneuver. At 63, Clifton discovers that his mind and knees have separate opinions about jumping. He lands awkwardly. Jesus. Miss Pearl arrives carrying her broom. "Clifton, why ya chasing me goat?" Clifton spins around. "Why ya goat into me?" He stops. Pearl folds her arms. "Inna ya what?" Clifton looks around. He lowers his voice. "Vegetable garden." Pearl looks at the plants. Then at Clifton. Then back at the plants. "Vegetable." "Yes. What kind?" Clifton hesitates. "Herb." Pearl raises an eyebrow. "Clifton." "Medicinal herb." Winston grabs another branch. Clifton nearly cries. Look how much him eat. Pearl walks toward the goat. Winston, come ya. Winston runs deeper into the field. Clifton grabs his head. Pearl, control ya animal. Don't shout pon him. Him sensitive. Sensitive. Him eat nearly $6,000 worth of sensitivity. Pearl freezes. 6,000. Clifton realizes his mistake. Silence. Pearl looks slowly around the field. How much vegetable you have up here, Clifton? Before Clifton can answer, another voice comes from the truck. Morning. Both of them freeze. Clifton's face changes. Pearl whispers. Who dat? Clifton already knows. Officer Brown. Officer Brown goes for a walk. Officer Brown did not wake up planning to investigate anything. He was simply walking. His doctor had told him he needed more exercise. Brown disagreed. Brown believed walking unnecessarily was something people did when they had misplaced their vehicle. Nevertheless, at 6:30 that morning, he had put on sneakers, track pants, and an old police t-shirt. He made it approximately 12 minutes before regretting the entire decision. Then he heard Clifton screaming. Now Brown is climbing the hillside. Slowly. Very slowly. Morning. No answer. Brown stops. Mass Clifton. Clifton looks desperately at Pearl. Distract him. With what? Anything. Pearl thinks. Then smiles. Clifton immediately becomes worried. Miss Pearl's ideas are rarely helpful. Officer Brown appears around the corner. Everything all right up here? Pearl steps directly into his path. Officer Brown. Brown stops. Morning, Miss Pearl. You'll lose weight. Brown brightens. Really? No. Brown's smile disappears. Pearl continues talking anyway. Me here, SEH walking good high pressure. Brown looks suspiciously at her. How you know me pressure high? Everybody know. Behind her, Clifton is desperately waving at Winston. The goat watches him. Clifton points toward the opposite side of the field. Winston chews. Clifton whispers. Move. Nothing. Officer Brown hears something. What dat? Pearl begins coughing loudly. Brown looks at her. You all right? Yes. Another rustle. Brown steps sideways. Pearl steps sideways with him. Brown steps left. Pearl steps left. Brown steps right. Pearl steps right. Brown stops. Miss Pearl. Yes, officer. Why are you blocking me? Sun hot. Brown looks upward. It is barely 7 o'clock. And you providing shade? Pearl nods. Brown stares at her. Then he notices Clifton. Mass Clifton. Clifton straightens. Officer. What you doing up here? Farming. Brown looks around Pearl. What you farming? Clifton opens his mouth. Nothing comes out. Then Winston makes the decision that will change the entire morning. The goat runs. Straight through the plants. Straight past Clifton. Straight around Miss Pearl. And directly toward Officer Brown. Brown's eyes widen. Hey! Winston does not stop. Brown jumps aside. The goat clips his leg. Officer Brown spins. His arms fly upward. And the representative of law and order disappears backward into a thick patch of bushes. Brown. Pearl drops the broom. Clifton runs forward. Officer. For 5 terrifying seconds, there is silence. Then Brown's voice rises from the vegetation. Who owned that goat? Pearl looks at Clifton. Clifton looks at Pearl. Together they answer. Don't know. The investigation. Officer Brown climbs out. Leaves are stuck to his shirt. His dignity is missing. Don't know. Pearl shakes her head. Never see him before. Brown stares at her. Miss Pearl. Yes. Dat goat name Winston. Pearl says nothing. I see you feeding him mango skin yesterday. Pearl looks toward Clifton. Brown memory strong, eh? Clifton does not appreciate the observation. Officer Brown brushes dirt from his pants. Where him gone? Clifton immediately points downhill. That way. Unfortunately. Winston bleats from behind him. Brown slowly turns. Clifton closes his eyes. The goat stands at the entrance to the hidden field. Brown looks at Winston, then at Clifton, then toward the plants. Clifton's heart begins beating faster. Brown steps forward. Pearl steps forward. Clifton steps forward. All three adults stand shoulder to shoulder. Brown looks at them. Why everybody walking with me? Exercise, Clifton says. Brown narrows his eyes. Then, a phone rings. Everybody jumps. Brown reaches into his pocket. Brown speaking. Pause. His expression changes. What? Another pause. Where? Brown turns around. I coming. He hangs up. Clifton tries not to look relieved. Brown points toward Winston. Tie dat goat. Pearl nods. Brown begins walking downhill. Then he stops. Clifton's relief disappears. Brown turns. Mass Clifton. Yes, officer. I coming back. Clifton swallows. Anytime. Brown looks toward the hidden field once more, then continues down the track. Nobody moves until he disappears. Pearl finally exhales. Clifton sits on a rock. Winston walks over. Clifton looks at him. The goat looks at Clifton. Then Winston sneezes directly into Clifton's face. Pearl bursts out laughing. Clifton slowly wipes his cheek. Pearl. Yes. If dat goat come back up here tomorrow. Pearl folds her arms. You going do what? Clifton looks at Winston. Winston looks back. Clifton sighs. Build a fence. But Content Gap has eyes. By 8 o'clock, Clifton believes the crisis is over. It is not. Because across the gully, behind a banana tree, Kemar has seen everything. The goat. Miss Pearl. Officer Brown. And most importantly, the bush. Kemar slowly takes out his phone. Not to call the police. Never. He calls his cousin. Dwayne. Pause. Yow. Pause. Remember Uncle Clifton SEH him only planting yam up a hill? Pause. Kemar looks across at the field. A smile spreads across his face. Bretta. He lowers his voice. DM have leaves. And somewhere down the hill, Officer Brown stops walking. He turns. He looks back toward Clifton's hillside. Something about that morning does not sit right with him. He scratches his chin, then continues toward the station. Tomorrow, Officer Brown is coming back. And this time, he is bringing his police boots. End of episode 1. Next, episode 2, Officer Brown come back. Because by tomorrow morning, Clifton will have a fence. Pearl will have a plan. Kemar will have information he absolutely cannot keep to himself. And Winston. Winston will have found a way through the fence.